Hello, welcome back. I'm Darcy Darkness, and this is Confessions from the Darkside. How are you all in this wonderful community? It's been a while, but it's episode 5 of Religion and Horror, which is supernatural. Yes, we're going to cover supernatural within religion and horror, which is part of our series that we're doing. Before we get started, I am going to read out the disclaimer. We're going to fill in so much adult content that some of you may think this is unnecessary, some of you may think that this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out, but I will say this only once. If you can't stand the heat, then get the fuck out of my kitchen now. For everyone else who likes what we have here, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started? Are we ready? So what we're covering today, like I just said, it's the supernatural part, which is episode 5 of the series Religion and Horror. If you're not aware, there's 4 other parts of this series, and it's covering all the different subgenre and topics that are within religion and horror. We've had the Vatican, we've had possessions and exorcisms, we've had cults, to name a few. So now we're going on to the supernatural aspect that's used in religion and horror. Let's get to it, shall we? So not to be mistaken with the CW show Supernatural that we do talk about every month, breaking down each season and discussing the show on a whole new level, but the topic of supernatural and why this topic within the subgenre of religion, why is this important and do we enjoy it? Do we feel that supernatural isn't touched on enough, or is it touched on too much? Firstly, I want to ask you, do you enjoy a supernatural experience in your life? Do you believe in the supernatural? And what does the supernatural mean to you? Firstly, for me, I do enjoy a supernatural experience. Do I believe in some of aspects of it? Not really, but again, if it's to do with life and death, I always say energy you can't destroy, so ghosts and stuff technically could be because your energy wouldn't be destroyed, but the vessel would be, so I do believe that. Do I kind of believe in kind of a all one supernatural being? Not really. Again, being pagan, it's different with the way you live your life, the way you see things, and the way the humanity and the treatment of others is what I get out of that. What does the supernatural mean to me? Well, I'm forever weirdo, and I love everything weird, supernatural, odd, eccentric, and I feel that when it's executed accurately and correctly, then supernatural aspects in all movies of any sort, whether it's horror, action, thriller, sci-fi, fantasy, that supernatural, if it's done right, then it can be pulled off and executed well, and you never know. That story could be the next franchise or the next classic. You never know, because we're kind of moving into that kind of aspect where a lot of movies are going to become cult classics because the way the film industry is going. Why cling on to what is good and then just ignore everything else, I suppose. Supernatural. What makes the movies we will talk about today, and in the genre as a whole, fit into this topic? Has the topic become saturated, and has the topic got lost along the way? Again, the movies that I'm going to talk about in this episode, I'm going to name a lot in the universe that of supernatural, not supernatural TV show, but supernatural and religious horror. But I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies and the supernatural significance in religion and horror. Has the topic become saturated? I feel that in supernatural, not so much. Everything else really in religion and horror, exorcisms, possessions for one. I think we've seen enough of that. Cults, not so much. They kind of stop, not really, because there's a lot of things that people are saying define a cult differently now. Like technically, like the internet, social media, all could technically be a cult. I feel that there's a few things that could be touched upon with other aspects of religion and horror, other topics within the subgenre, but I don't feel that the supernatural has even had enough to become saturated because it's a bigger spectrum of content that you can actually have. It can be supernatural religion in so many different aspects of this topic, and that's why I don't think it is saturated. But other topics within religion and horror are way too saturated, and there's far too many of them, and nothing can shine if there's all that saturated content out there. It's sad to say that your movie or your project, your legacy could be lost in translation or just lost in the pile of movies that are coming out that year or the next few years for that matter. Has a topic got lost along the way? I don't feel like this one has. I do feel like other aspects, like I said, in religion and horror, the topics that we cover on here, especially in this series, to actually can he swing a cat without a possession or a exorcism? And again, if there's enough of them out with a similar aspect, like right now, you've got the First Omen, and then you had Immaculate, and even though they're not the same, they still touch upon things from the past and things from the future in similar aspects, and prequels or sequels, or trying to do soft reboots like they did with The Exorcist Believer as well. Again, that whole genre of reboots, soft reboots or hard reboots where they completely destroy history of the legacy and the lore, or they do a soft one where they bring in stuff from previous movies, use that as a backbone for this movie, and then kind of bring their own aspects. That's what I call a soft reboot, and a hard reboot is when they try and rewrite it and piss the fuck off. I don't think the supernatural topic has got lost along the way or become saturated. I just don't think it's used enough. And there's so much that they could use supernatural aspects for sci-fi and fantasy and not just horror. So I don't think it has been touched upon. They could use it with other different topics. Like they could do supernatural with cults or supernatural with exorcisms. It's again different topics, different situations. It could be handled well depending on who's actually doing it and who's writing it and who's adapting it. There's always that as well. So, which movie is said to be the first? Well, apparently in Supernatural, again, in this series, a lot of things overlap because it's a very, not even diverse, it's a very, very big subgenre with many, many topics. And they do kind of overlap sometimes. That's why I'm trying not to speak about the same movies, because some of them have their own strengths, even though they do follow other aspects and other topics within the subgenre. They do stand alone a lot of time, and that is why, again, they will overlap. So I have spoke about this movie before, Sue Matheson's original Rosemary's Baby that was out in the 60s, as the topics were witchcraft, not evil by the way, but they portrayed it as that, which gives you the wrong description of witchcraft. Again, can be used for good or bad. The same with Christianity, can be used as good as bad, can be used as a useful tool, or it can be used as a weapon. So you've got demonic activity, and of course the man himself, Lucifer, the devil. In my honest opinion, even the only demonic entity is the people showing how humanity can be so evil to its fellow man. So then by the 70s, we had classic movies like The Exorcist and The Omen, both of which had mass hysteria and a cult following, even though technically The Omen is technically a cult movie, not just a cult classic. Following its last 50 years, The Exorcist, now how many movies can you say still make people excited today as they did back then? Again, hysteria, the time, and the way cinema was back then, that's why you do have a lot of hysteria because of the type of world it was. Not saying that nothing bad happened in the 60s and 70s, but compared to today, I think the world has kind of softened itself. Yes, shit happens and people do get mad and there is hysteria, but not to the extent of The Exorcist. Again, there was some hysteria with the Blair Witch Project because we're trying to say it was lost footage, but you know what I mean, that type of hysteria, not many people, I don't think no one's managed to bottle that hysteria and unbottle it, as I should say, for the 21st century. There's nothing really in that sort of horror, sci-fi, fantasy genre that have actually managed it, to be fair. In this series, a lot of movies, like I said, do overlap, but I am bringing you the history and everything so we can move forward and show you what this topic has become and the evolution of this topic within the subgenre that is religion and horror. So we've got Carrie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Conjuring, Frailty, Children of the Corn, The Omen, The Exorcist, any exorcism movies or possessions, and there is a lot to list, so I'm not going to do that to you and list them because I'll be here for eternity. 30 Coins, Midnight Mass, Dreamcatcher, The Wreck movies, which is REC, Poltergeist, Amityville, Beyond Darkness, The Devil's Advocate, Angel Heart, The Prophecy, Fallen, End of Days, Stigmata, The Ninth Gate, Bless the Child, Lost Souls. Loved this movie. It's okay, it's kind of boring apparently to some people on IMDb, but I enjoyed it. Just because it says it's boring in IMDb doesn't mean that it's not good. Constantine, Devil, The Sentinel, and Reaper. So like I said, I was going to discuss some of these movies, and End of Days, I'll start with that. So this movie actually turns 25 as well this year. It came out in 1999, and a lot of films about hysteria about Y2K, which was going into the 21st century, because obviously 1999 was the 20th century, and there was a lot of, like, if you turn 999 upside down, it's 666, which is the number of the beast, and this is what this movie is about: a supernatural event that's going to occur with a special woman who's going to apparently bear the birth of the next generation of Antichrist, basically. So, as I said, the movie turns 25. You've got Arnie and Gabriel Byrne, Robin Tunney, and even Miriam Margolyes, who I absolutely love. She is brilliant. I want to be her when I grow up. No filter, doesn't give a fuck. She's just brilliant. This movie, though, again, watches a young woman who has been under protection her entire life. So very cultish behaviour, kept away from people, obviously to keep her pure, or so they think. And nothing says cult like controlling a child, does it? She's been under protection her entire life. Why, you say? Because she is special, of course. Why so special? For Satan. That's why this movie comes under action, horror, and fantasy. Again, another Y2K, the height of the number of the beast, which again, 666, or 1999, or upside down, 666. So this young woman is to be sacred to him, and that she has to stay pure. She is a symbol. She has a symbol on her body. It's a birthmark, and it makes her special to him. So he knows. Well, he would know her anyway. In my honesty, if she was for him, then he would know her. Even though he'd never met her, he would know her scent. He would know her. He literally could close his eyes and he would see her. That's the thing. It wouldn't matter if she had that birthmark or not. It's just so basically the occult and the people who believe in this happening, this events, the supernatural events to happen, then that's how they know who it is. That's to basically ID her as being the beast, Lucifer's lady. The man played by the sexy as fuck Gabriel Byrne, sexier as a priest in Stigmata, or as the vessel in which Satan inhabits to bring forth his world, this world, for the coming of the apocalypse. But he must share his seed between 11 p.m. and midnight. Kinda too accurate, but hey. Satan has a schedule as well. Arnie is an ex-cop in this who ends up being entangled in this. Arnie, as you know, he's going to bring the one-liners in action. He brings it all with his fist. I ain't bullshitting you. Arnie is the action in all his movies. You know, shit is going to get real when this man is on the project. Apparently, this is the movie that's the tagline: the ultimate battle of good versus evil, and it doesn't stop there. The supernatural aspect of this, how Satan has managed to create a following of nutjob zealots to do his bidding on the off chance his vision of hell on earth will come to pass by creating with life with this 20-year-old young woman. How these followers will stop at nothing to protect the coming of Satan himself, to deliver them from the world they live in now to his world and his vision, and that this child will grow to be the saviour to all. Even if you don't want it, he's coming apparently. So every 1,000 years, Satan / Lucifer gets to nut in a young nubile woman. That's a long time wait, and then only give him 1 hour to make it so. Only an hour, really. Gabriel Byrne is exceptional as the role of Satan, or the man. I would need more than an hour with him. They need to rewrite their fables and stories, because 1 hour every 1,000 years, that guy must have blue balls, man, waiting that length of time. Whatever. Oh, Arnie is also great in this, as he was like most who viewed this movie and thought this makes no sense. Why are these people so crazy for Satan? And why do I need to be involved in this? Supernatural events triggered Y2K, supernatural deities created by man to bring forth hell on earth. Arnie is a good guy, but with a twist. Gabriel Byrne, well, the way he's written, well, bravo. If I go into more detail, this podcast will become more adult than what it's supposed to be, put it that way. Stigmata, again, another Gabriel Byrne, but Patricia Arquette's in this. He's a sexy priest who is having doubts about his faith, shock horror. Always a priest that has been sidetracked by the cult known as Catholicism. Another young woman, Patricia Arquette, ends up being the victim of invisible attack. When similar to the trials and the stages of crucifixion, which again was St. Francis of Assisi went through this as well. So another movie turning 25 this year that seems to be the time for the end of the world, hell on earth, 1999, 666, and how his world would come here to bring hell on earth. All about religion and supernatural. You see Frankie, who's played by Patricia Arquette, living through her life, again, just happy-go-lucky girl, and then she gets a present from her mum. and she touches it, and then that's when she first gets whipped. She's whipped on a train, she's whipped outside, and then that's when it looks like she's getting the nails through her wrists, not her hands. Again, they wouldn't have been put up by their hands, even though that is basically obviously very inaccurate to the crucifixion. The crucifixes that we see, because they put it through the palms of the hands, when you would actually just eventually just slip right off as your body literally was dying. It would be through the wrist anyway, so they do talk about that in the movie as well. So he doesn't believe that she is going through this, or the church is like, they're on the fence going, is this happened to this person? Is it not? Because she's not of faith. So they think that can only happen to someone who believes in Jesus or believes in God for them to actually be afflicted by this, and not by a possessed or cursed item, which it obviously has been. She went from party girl carefree to becoming a shell of herself, fighting this curse, fighting this situation with not only everything she has, but with Father Andrew Kiernan, who's played by Gabriel Byrne. He didn't believe until he witnessed it for himself. So much against her for being chosen by the church, but the supernatural part of this, how did she become cursed? And as I said, her mother bought a pair of rosary beads off this child who had taken them off a dead priest. The connection was instant when she touched it. So again, it was stolen. She has a really sexy as fuck demonic voice though when she's speaking. I really like it in the movie that they actually spoke about the Gospels that were found underneath a chapel that the Catholic Church tried to say that didn't exist and they were fake. Coming from them, that's got to be rich, since half the shit that they've wrote and rewritten for decades is not the same shit. Yeah, they had her kind of narrating the kind of like, God is all around you. It's not in buildings, it's not in books. He's all around you. It was never supposed to be like this. So basically, yeah, it was a really nice touch that they did that. Horror and mystery is the genre for this movie, and the tagline was "The messenger is here." It was an alternative messenger. But again, if it was true that he was everywhere, or some deity was everywhere, then the messenger could be anyone they seen fit, unworthy of becoming the messenger, not just because of the faith and religion that you follow. So again, the supernatural aspect of becoming possessed or becoming another version of yourself in this form of a messenger. Now we have Constantine. So Keanu being badass. When is he not just a wonderful actor in this movie, which will be 20 years old next year? I still will watch this. Everyone in this movie is phenomenal. Even the cameo that they had by Gavin Rossdale, Bush, he was brilliant in this movie, and there's been talks of sequels for God knows how long, and it seems to be that this might actually happen. They say it's going to happen, but again, they've said that about a lot of things, so until I see a release date, then I won't be getting too excited, put it that way. John Constantine is hated by everyone. He has a wonderful gift, but he tries to toe the line and make the world a better place, to bring them justice by sending them back to whence they came. John helps prove a police officer theory right, basically. She's played by Rachel Weisz, and her twin dies, and she said that it would be classed as an S. And because her sister and her were brought up Catholic, they would never have done that, because that is a sin for you to take your own life by the Catholic Church. You would not go to hell. You wouldn't go to heaven. You wouldn't be welcome there. And that's why she said that my sister, she did not commit S. My sister would never do that. And she's trying to prove that her sister didn't do it. And John Constantine helps her by introducing him to his supernatural world and the way he would find out the answers. So it's like them working together to show that it was most likely foul play. Heaven and hell, all battling as they do, very dysfunctional, but has been known forever. Both Angela and her sister, again played by Rachel Weisz, they were raised Catholic, committing S. Well, this is a sin, and most will not do this because of the repercussions of these actions and what it does to your soul in the afterlife. You go to hell. So who does turn up to help prove people wrong about our sister? But John Constantine, his reputation for being the best with the supernatural and the mystical things people don't know even exist or don't want to believe. She believed that only John had this knowledge and power to do this, so he could be the one then. The tagline for this movie fits perfectly. Hell wants him, heaven won't take him, and earth needs him. This movie comes under the topics action, fantasy, and horror, and mystery of all these. Yes. So between both of them, John brings Angela into his world, even if it's only a taste of what he deals with, so he can find the answers and close this for Angela in the search and investigation into this. John finds out there is a bigger picture going on, and that this minor part just blew open the doors to a bigger plan. How demons were trying to find a way to come to our world. All this conflict has John, annoying Satan, who's played by an actor called Peter Stormare. He was also in American Gods, and he was the Russian cosmonaut in Armageddon, who was on the International Space Station. If you can remember, all Russian components made in Taiwan. That was hilarious. He was such a good character in that. Satan comes to Earth to confront him, and confront him he does with a twist. No, Poltergeist. Horror, thriller, so this movie is a classic, and we all remember wee Carol Ann and the maleficent spirit terrorising our family, and how they are subjected to the noisy ghost, which is what the translation of poltergeist actually means from German to English. The family are subjected to them, and their home being the playground for these spirits, and they didn't care about the abuse they were inflicting to them. Then the spirits capture Carol Ann, the wee girl, and the family, and then this leads them having to bring a psychic in who needs to remove the spirits from the line and shows where they say they're here, because it's basically usually someone you don't want to be, and I think it's funny. Everyone uses it because it's funny. They have to bring in a wee psychic woman who is always known for playing weird characters because of her look, and also she has one of those voices, distinct voices, that she was also in Teen Witch as well in the 80s. She's got one of those voices, and again it was to do with witchcraft and things like that, so she has been typecasted over the years. The tagline from the cover is "It knows what scares you." The manifestations in the house using manipulation and fear to control the family, and doing everything to cause stress and fear. It spurred 2 sequels, one of which that features the creepiest preacher I've ever seen. His creepy as fuck song, it's "God is in his holy temple." Everybody remembers it, and everybody knows and has seen some creepy old guy who's looked exactly like him and literally has walked on the other side of the street to him. Tagline: "From a dimension beyond living, a terror to scare you to death." I wouldn't say so. It actually got a really bad TV show as well, which I enjoyed actually. Kind of had a sexy guy in it. It did. It did have 2 sexy men in it actually. It was based in an old house, and they did like supernatural cases and stuff. So Amityville, again, loosely based in a real life world. I say loosely because it's basically the style of the house and the names of the people. But again, this movie has been rebooted and even been put in 3D and has so many movies about it. And they also have the Amityville murders, I think, as well. Again, all basically loose. So they're all loosely based on what happened, but not what actually happened. It's just another one of those gimmicky things that they've said Amityville, and they've tried to kind of went on about the house being haunted. They've used it in The Conjuring as well. Rebooted, remade, had sequels. The tagline is "For God's sake, get out." For God's sake, stop fucking remaking them and rebooting them. If you're not going to do a proper Amityville horror about the actual murders that happened and take place in the house, and actually do like the psychological horror thriller type aspect of that movie, how it should be, and even though it's been proven that it wasn't, they should still do it that way. And again, they could go in all forms of aspect. They could do it as I've said before, they could literally do it from like the victim's like point of view or anything like that. But no, you never really see it like that, which is a bit crap. I waited ages to actually talk about this next movie because I hadn't watched it in a few years, and I watched it recently because I wanted to add it. So, The Prophecy. There are 5 of these films, but I'm only going to talk about 3 because Christopher Walken's only in the first 3 because it was a trilogy, so he's one of the main reasons why I love this movie. Christopher Walken, his attention to detail to any role that he actually becomes, it just makes it incredibly believable that he is Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel. And he's this presence. He's just one of those actors that he does have a presence. He doesn't even need to say anything, like when he's in Sleepy Hollow. Again, I rest my case. 5 of these movies, I'm going to talk about 3, the first 3 of the trilogy. Actually, there's a few actors that are in these movies that actually stick out as well, and they do make the movie more enjoyable, put it that way. These actors are becoming these deities. these archangels part of heaven. And in Dean Winchester aspect, he points out that so Dean Winchester has already said that in Supernatural that Daddy brought home the new baby and you didn't like the outcome of humanity becoming more popular and more loved and adored by your father, so you fight for attention and you do stupid shit basically because you're trying to get his love, because you don't like being second, third, or fourth best. You want his attention back. You want his love, even though you have his attention. You had his love, and you had outgrown him. You wanted him to stay in the same place, basically, and that's what it's between heaven and hell and earth. So this is basically what the prophecy is about, and using supernatural aspect to go along with it. The Prophecy is an old movie, like I said, from the 90s, and it has many great actors that has filled the shoes of the angelic ones, the hierarchy of angels, Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer. Over the three movies, we see each of the archangels fight on earth in the name of their father, something of which they try to blame on evil when it's in fact the heaven side dishing out death, destruction, and chaos. And this is what Lucifer, who's played by Viggo Mortensen in the first movie, you may know him as Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Well, he plays an amazing Lucifer and he's sexy as fuck. He's very gothic, very dark, he's just arrogant as fuck, man. You're just like, oh god, sorry. He doesn't want to compete with two hells when there should only be one, referring to his brother's tantrum and creating hell on earth to get their father's attention, destroying his creations, but are humans, so that they can have their family back. Yet Lucifer isn't happy about the shift in power and the shift in the battle of good versus evil. We see angels possessing other humans, which again is supernatural, to be able to do that, whether they are dead or alive, to become foot soldiers when they cannot be. When the angels can't be there, they're being like watchers for them, and they do their dirty work. Gabriel is again played by the treat that is Christopher Walken. He gets his hands dirty in an oh so clean fashion. His finesse as an actor, playing such a role as Gabriel, he had the cockiness about it, but also he knew what he was doing. It was like cocky, but he knows exactly what he's up to. It was inevitably going to go wrong in his father's eyes, but he knew this was the only way to get his attention. To balance those scales and to do this, they became closer to demons and supernatural beings to do so, and choosing a detective that was once a priest to ask if he still has faith. And the first movie does this. And they seem to go for people of faith to prove to them that if they are losing their faith, that doing things to them to show that they still are about, they still are watching them and all around them, they do that. So when we see his faith, the detective and everything he's learned in and out of the church and the decisions and the phenomena he's seen with his own eyes, he a man of the Lord? Is he still a man of the Lord, still with faith, or has his horizon been broadened by the fact that not everything in heaven is black and white, that there is a grey area in which families exist, even up there? They do drastic things to be seen and to each other to be noticed, and in turn earth is used as a playground and a battlefield. This movie portrays angels as, in fact, spoiled brats that will do anything to have daddy's approval, have constant daddy issues. Angels are the definition of adult stars of the sky because they end up with severe daddy issues and always trying to people please the men in or the most important things in their life. The second and third movies are again more ways to show that angels are just as bad as Lucifer, and nothing will stop them to show that Earth isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yes, it's like I agree with this, but are we in a fishbowl to them if they did exist? Is it like Men in Black, where it's like us in a galaxy on Orion's belt on the neck for plump Chi-Chi? Who the fuck knows? Does having Lucifer at the heart of everything that is to blame for the bad and atrocities committed on Earth in religion and horror too old? Supernatural always meaning evil, not supernatural being something great, something new, and something that could change our world. Why not be a supernatural phenomena that will change us and our world and the future into a positive aspect? Why is it a supernatural event and the catastrophic ending to all mankind if it was for the greater of mankind? Maybe the outcome of people and humanity would be different. They talk about iconic stories and characters for a new age of horror, yet they remake and destroy the legacies that have been left behind. How to guide watching all movies or reading books and plays games, etc., to give us inspiration on rewriting the next generation, not just taking an old story and changing the actors and claiming them to be the iconic new faces. When in Hollywood, the remake reboot line is so saturated for the next few years, I'm completely done with new releases, as we always get the same unimaginative shite that they've been peddling to us for the past 2 decades or more, at least. Stop taking what's in the box out and saturating the genre, and take a step outside the box, the factory even, the box it is in, and experience something else. Let your creativity flow and stop running about in circles and rehashing the same old shite. We've had enough. It's time to start thinking ahead before you lose everyone to other avenues and people stop enjoying film on the big screen. Hollywood needs to have a reality check from time to time, yet they haven't. During the pandemic, again, they could have done something, yet it's been too far gone, and still the heavy hitters are flopping. Hollywood, for the love of humanity, the movies are flops because your audiences are leaving bored and underwhelmed. Give us something new before the few become the many and you destroy yourself through pettiness and greed. What did you think of the aspect of supernatural, the topic supernatural and the supernatural in horror? Do you think it's being saturated? Do you think that we need something else? And do you think that they need to look at what they're about to release? Should they shake it up? Should they bring in something else? Should they look outside the box? If you like content like this, remember to go check out Confessions from the Darkside social media platforms: Twatter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Buzzsprout. Let us know what you think over on our social medias, and let's get chatting about this topic, all the topics. Let's grow our community and spread how awesome the horror community is. If you want to get to know us as individuals, then you can check us out in the link below. I am Darcy Darkness, and my channel is Behind the Mash Reviews. I have an Instagram, a Twitch, a Kick. Lunar has a YouTube, a Twitch, and an Instagram, and his username is LunarX Rising. If you need to reach out to us at any point, then we have email addresses. We have Confessions from the Darkside, which is the channel, which is a Confessions from the Darkside at gmail.com. My own is Behind the Mash Reviews at gmail.com. The spelling is on screen. And again, if you're not watching, you know that it is a weird ass spelling, and to spell it out, I even fuck it up myself sometimes. Lunars is lunarxrising at gmail.com. And that was Confessions from the Darkside presents Religion and Horror, Episode 5, Supernatural. And I am Darcy Darkness, and I will see you later. Bye.